Come on, bitch, let's go. Come on, get ready, bitches. You haven't seen nothing yet. Come on.
Valentino, Versace, Lamborghini, Bugatti. I got money to burn. I'm single and I'm naughty.
Come on.
Tiffany's, Cartier, Gucci, Armani.
Come on.
Break out your black card, boys. It's time to party.
Oh, you guys, I have so many things I want to talk about today. We're going to just do the gamut. It kind of happened to me all week. I just was like, oh, what direction do I want to go? There's so much juice out there right now. It was quiet, and then it like all dumped at the same time. So I did a show a while back where I talked about Kelce, Travis Kelce, and Taylor Swift. And I set a timeline that I thought they would be engaged. And as I recall it, I said that I thought it was going to happen in November because when I did my own math of their relationship, although like their official 1-year anniversary is in the summer, I felt like they actually kind of started dating in November of 2023 because this is when Kelce pushes through getting to Taylor Swift by involving his friends and getting them to set him up. So I am imagining myself being Taylor Swift for a second. She's very sentimental. I think that it wouldn't be the date necessarily that they went public as a couple official. It would actually be the date that they really kind of started dating that she would use as like her 1-year mark or 2-year mark secretly with him, let's say. So for me, when I looked at their real kind of time he starts pursuing her, it's in November. And so I'm thinking to myself, they're going to want to have kids. And she's getting to that age where she wants to have kids. And so does he. It's not like they have endless amounts of time at the moment. It's time. Okay. And I think both of them know it. So I'm thinking they're going to do things very traditionally. They'll wait 1 year if they, are still serious or more into each other. And that 1-year point, they're going to make a move. And then they're going to do the wedding maybe a year after, probably at the 2-year mark. Why? Because that is the traditional timeline when you're older and like a guy to get married. You don't sit around for like 4, 5, 6, 7 years like poor Taylor's done in the past and other women do. That's actually a sign if you're old school of the guy isn't that into you. Okay. So like if you were back when I was a younger person, like Taylor's age, we would be saying to each other as girlfriends, like, you should be being asked at 1 year. The ceremony should be like 1 year after that. And if someone isn't doing it around that timeline, they're not doing it. It's not happening. Okay. Now I'm not talking in your 20s. That's too young. But like, I'd say anything 30 plus. That's the general timeline. Okay. And then as you get into 2.5 to 3 years, go ahead, ask any of your grandparents. They're going to say, he's not that into you. He would already done it. Right. Okay. So I just felt like, especially after her last relationship, it was really going to be important that milestones were met in an appropriate timeline, pushed on by him, not her. And I think he got the memo and he's been really on his game with all of this. Well, so I said this on my show. You could probably follow it down. It wasn't that long ago. Maybe I'd say, like 12, 15 shows ago. So you'll see it. I don't do Taylor all that much. Anyway, the point is that it turns out that they did this Thanksgiving, which you guys are probably aware, where all the family members came and there was some speculation that she got engaged at this Thanksgiving. And I just want to say, I have no doubt in my mind she got engaged in that Thanksgiving. Like if someone said to me, bet like all your money on whether or not she got engaged at that Thanksgiving event, I would bet all my money on it. Okay. Now, some gossipers have been saying that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce have bought a house in Kansas City together with both their names on a deed for $10 million. So this is a different house than the one that Travis Kelce, I guess, bought last year. He got it for $6 million, also in Kansas City. And, this is more of a bachelor pad, that one. But Taylor Swift has been spending a lot of time at his house and basically living there. So maybe she said, listen, if this gossip is true, let's get a house together because this is the direction that we're taking, more serious direction. I mean, he's still making updates to his house. Like they just announced in October of 2024 that he was building out the entire basement to have a golf simulator, and it was going to have other really cool features. It has like a proper bar in it. It has tennis and pickleball courts, hot tub, miniature golf, and a waterfall. So, I mean, it sounds like a really fun house, but it's also only 4,200 square feet. And I mean, it's in a private neighborhood and all that, but maybe they want something different for the family situation. I don't know. But yeah, allegedly they bought another house in Kansas City together. So who knows? Maybe they're going to do a lot of work to it, but they're keeping that one secret. It's not going to be, I guess, out in the press. So we'll see. It's very hard to know if this gossip is true because it's not public really, except in the gossip landscape. But if that is true, they're for sure engaged. Okay. And I had to share it with you because who else am I going to talk Taylor Swift with? All right, so now let's move on and talk about some of the tea that's come out of New Jersey. I want you to know that I reached out to Margaret Josephs just to see that she was okay with following, the end of New Jersey, and I wanted to know how her husband was doing with his ailment, and he was suffering from stage 1 cancer, and from what I understand, he's doing very well, and I was so happy to hear it. And so I just wanted to send some positive vibes to Margaret and her man. Joe Bonino, fuck cancer. That's all I have to say. I'm going to get banned if I keep saying the F word. Sorry. But that is what people say when they're talking about cancer. Teresa Giudice has been making the rounds. She went on Kim D's podcast. I love Kim and was so happy for her. I love when Jennifer Aiden and Teresa go on her show because I know they're really solidly having fun together. And they said some tea, so you should go check out Kim D's show. She's been collabing with them a lot, especially if you miss New Jersey. Teresa Giudice and Melissa Gorga got in a social media war if you missed it. Melissa Gorga announced that she was going to do a sprinkle cookies line. And at some point during all the hubbub, Teresa Giudice responded to Melissa Gorga's promo about it with, "You're welcome." But I think she's excited about her cookie line. You guys should get some and send them as Christmas presents to people. Perhaps Melissa should send the first batch to Teresa. I bet she would love that. Let's keep the rivalry going, shall we? And then Jennifer Aiden, Teresa Giudice, and Louis Ruelas went to some concert. I think it was Mariah Carey's, so those guys are having fun. Louis Ruelas hasn't been arrested. Melissa Gorga got a new pool. Gia Giudice has been doing bikini photos and following in the Kardashians' footsteps by showing off her body, which is trending, so it's working. And OG Kristen Chenoweth from, she was the original Glinda on Wicked. She's a phenomenal Broadway star. She got in a war with Teresa Giudice, where Teresa went on Kim D's show, as I mentioned, and made fun of Kristen Chenoweth for 20 minutes with Kim D singing the song Popular, which of course is Kristen Chenoweth's song she's so famous for singing on the original Wicked. I guess implying that Teresa's more popular than Kristen. I don't know. I mean, I'll leave that alone. I'll just leave that one alone. What started it all? Well, Kristen Chenoweth went under one of the popular bloggers talking about Teresa Giudice and said, "This one, scary, dangerous, Team Gorga." Now, Kristen is friends with Melissa Gorga, and so this makes sense as to where she's, I guess, sticking up for Melissa. But people were curious as to what prompted it. Like, what would make her get out of bed and actually text that message about Teresa? Would imagine something had to have been said to her to trigger her in some way. But Teresa did her usual thing, went on Bryce Sanders, told Kristen to get a hobby, kind of dragged her, made fun of her with Kim D. Let me see if I can find a clip.
Now that we're friends, I've decided to make you my new project. I'll help you be popular.
Popular. You're gonna be popular.
Popular. I'm gonna be popular. Popular. I'm gonna be popular.
Yeah, you're popular.
I am popular.
You are.
You are.
So there you have it. Teresa's popular. I guess Kristen isn't. I don't know. Didn't she win a Tony? All right. Let's just leave it there. What's happening to our world? But I love Kim D for that show. I do. You guys know they're casting right now. You guys could go in my Instagram, Wilkie_Dana, and you'll see the casting. Maybe reach out and try out for the new show that they're putting together right now. Well, there's been a huge win in the Garagos lawsuit landscape. I've been watching this reality reckoning from afar for a long time, or maybe not too far. But I've been watching it, and it turns out they had a big, successful announcement. It hasn't really made the rounds yet, so I'm going to tell you about it. Everybody have Brandi Glanville listen to this part. Renee Posh, who's been part of the reality reckoning, although she's associated with Love is Blind on Netflix, has actually had a huge win in her case against the production company and Netflix. They had sued her for $4 million for talking about a never aired stint that she had on Love is Blind publicly about what really happened. And it turns out that the feds have decided, or the labor board more specifically, that the reality TV producers, quote, intentionally misclassified Love is Blind cast members, including Charging Party Thompson and Charging Party Posh, as non-employee participants, thereby inhibiting them from engaging in Section 7 activity and depriving them of the protections of the Act. To that, and lambasting producers for restrictive NDAs and contracts that prevent reality TV participants like Posh and her ex Nick Thompson from essentially taking on any other type of work for ages. The soon-to-be Trump 2.0 dominated NLRB have set an April 22nd, 2025 hearing on the issues raised in this complaint. And guess what, kids? They got traction in New York. And to that I say, you're welcome. So what does this mean in no uncertain terms? Well, it turns out there is now possibly going to be precedent. Very, very dangerous precedent for the networks and Kinetic and Delirium TV, who were involved in the production of Love is Blind, that, guess what? Reality stars are employees. Yep, that's what I said. Employees, not distant consultants, not freelance people with no rights, and none of that. Yep, you gotta take on some accountability here, kids. And it serves this company right, because this little girl ended up going on this show, signing this lethal contract, getting paid $8,000. And then guess what? It doesn't even do anything for her. It doesn't even air this scene. And guess what? They sue her for millions of dollars for talking about what happened to her on the show behind the scenes on like a podcast. I mean, you bullies, you deserve it. I really hope to freaking hell that the Federal National Labor Relations Board really gets on this, okay? I really hope they do, because boy, is this going to really increase what reality stars are going to get in terms of rights if they're deemed employees.
Happy Hunger Games, and may the odds be ever in your favor.
Christmas coming early if the National Labor Department goes our way with this and follows through with this ruling and making reality stars employees. It's huge. So please send positive holiday energy to the people fighting this battle on behalf of people who have been hurt by this industry. Not everyone has, but quite a bit have. So that's what I want for Christmas this year. Speaking of Christmas, I have a present for you guys. I got spilled some very exclusive tea, which is in the second part of today's show. But before we move on, I'm very excited to do my few suggestions of Christmas gifts. Again, these are not sponsored. These are me really advising you. Sometimes they're cheap and reasonable and realistic. Other times they're not. And I'm doing this all the way up to Christmas for a small segment in the show each week until the holiday. So here we go. This week, unfortunately, I'm going to recommend a very expensive Christmas gift, but it's really what I want more than anything if money was no object for Christmas. Okay, Santa, are you listening? Because that's what I celebrate. Santa, Dana wants an on-the-go monogrammed Louis Vuitton canvas snow collection. Yes, this beautiful bag has, are you ready? I'm going to read from the website. The iconic pattern, Louis Vuitton, is silk screened, printed in a gradient finish that is complemented with sleek silver-toned hardware, elevated with a signature flower charm. Oh, it's so cute. The capacious design offers multiple carry and storage options and can fit inside a 13-inch laptop. Wow, it's gorgeous. This bag. And it comes in a few different styles, but oh, I love that one. Oh my goodness. And it'll only put you back $3,700. Now this one, you're going to be so happy because this is in a more affordable price point, but you're also going to thank me if you don't know about it. So my stepmom is like an expert at makeup and creams and everything. I mean, she just is. She was formally trained in the industry when she was young, and then she went on to do other things. But she really learned a lot because she was gorgeous and she worked for some of the top brands in terms of representing their products in different ambassador brand locations. Okay, so she introduced me to this stuff called Lait Embryolisse. Okay, now I've been using Lait Cream Concentrate. It's in French, multifunction. It's kind of like you can use it as anything. You can use it as a little bit of a primer, a mask, or a moisturizer. It also can be used as makeup remover. I mean, this stuff does everything. And it was shocking. I put it on and I was like, why have you been holding the secret from me for so long? Well, guess what? I went and researched the product because I was that impressed by it. For you guys, I'm like, well, I mean, I want to make sure that other people feel the same way I do about this thing my mom gave me. Well, guess what? 5 stars, 48,000. Yes, I said 1,000 reviews. So what does that tell you? The French do it so well. Okay. All right. Now on the cheapest scale, I want you guys to know that you can buy Dishing Drama Dana, $6 a month memberships to the Patreon, and they can get the gift of Dana in their life. And believe me, 2,200 people know that gift, not every month, not every week, but most of the time is worth it. That $6 a month. So that's also a great gift for somebody, is the gift of drama from our Patreon. All right, so let's see. What else did I want to tell you guys? All right, so one more dream gift. This one you probably can't get this year, but you might be able to save up money for it over years and buy it for yourself. Now, are you ready? This is everything. You're gonna save up for however long it takes, 8,000 euro, which is about 10,000 USD, something like that, okay? And you're going to get a car on a 3-day excursion on the La Dolce Vita Orient Express, which is run by the Orient Express, the famous trains that, used to go around. They were considered the highest end, most luxury train experience of all time. You have to understand, being on this train is a destination in its own right. It's not like you're going somewhere. That is also good, but it's the train is everything, okay? And they have these new excursions. They're actually redoing 17 of the original trains that are from the 1920s and 30s, and they're bringing them back to life, modernizing them, making them extraordinary with, every luxury you can imagine, and Michelin star restaurants and just opulent fun. You get to dress up like old days. and be glamorous and really feel like you're in a movie in a way. Anyway, those aren't going to be ready till 2026. So maybe in 2026 that'll go on the Christmas list. But right now you can do the La Dolce Vita one. And remember, none of these are sponsored. I'm just telling you my true recommendations. So the one that I love is this one. Starts out in Rome. Then it takes you to Venice and then to Portofino and then back to Rome, all on this gorgeous train. And you have Michelin food and there's like a drink area and you get to stop a little bit in each train station and see the places, which obviously, you know, Rome is known for its shopping. Venice is known for its sights and its beautiful glass. You can buy a chandelier there that's like, you know, the blown glass. They also do these really gorgeous masks and music boxes in Venice you can buy. And then you can go off to Portofino, Italy and be glamorous. You know, that's more celebrity kind of vibe. Anyway, oh gosh, please do this for yourself. It's definitely life-changing. By the way, as part of your money that you're spending, you do get things to do in each place that are included in it. And so, you know, but the accommodations are stunning. It's really the whole experience. But what a special thing. A bucket list item going on the Orient Express. Okay, that's it. I'm moving on. Those are my Christmas ones this week. Next week, I'll get back to Earth again. All right, my darlings. So a few of you guys reached out to me in the chat and noted that Andy Cohen had Heather Gay and Britney on the show. And simultaneously with you guys gossiping about that, I noticed that Thea had found some tea out about Britney's ex-husband on Reddit, and she had posted it. And so I wanted to read you what she posted because I was like, huh? Where'd this come from? I love Thea. She's so good at finding those nuggets. But before we get into that, let me go ahead and play you a few of Heather Gay and Britney's responses to Watch What Happens Live. The Patreons felt that the way Heather Gay answered the question of whether Lisa spilled the Alibaba tea was interesting to them based on the fact that obviously everything they know about, you know, from me, from what happened and what I think happened, etc., that it was Heather Gay that leaked the tea to me through a Finsta account that then ended up being brought up by Whitney to Adam from Up and Adam, and Adam then communicated with me about it, and because I dropped a video about it on YouTube, and anyway, it became a plot point in season 5, but I wouldn't sign the release, so they then didn't use my clip, and then it went on Adam, and it all kind of blew up behind the scenes. It foiled the person's plan, I guess, a little bit with Whitney Rose and Lisa Barlow, and that takedown that was supposed to happen, because Whitney wanted to blame Lisa, because frankly, everyone behind the scenes doesn't like Lisa on the cast. So they were like trying to kind of figure out a way to do that, and it didn't work, okay? Because, you know, I tell my real feelings. Even if I like a cast member, I'm going to say what I really think happened. That's, you know, the danger of interacting with me. Like, you need to clue me into the plan if you're going to use me in it. Lessons learned, ladies. Anyway, it was interesting that post Real Housewives of Salt Lake City season 5 reunion filming that he asked Heather Gay this question on Watch What Happens Live, and the way she answered it struck the fans as odd. They also felt that Andy Cohen wasn't as cuddly with Heather Gay and Britney as he has been with the other housewives, which I thought was unusual. I speculated that maybe he was pissed that Heather Gay was coming on Watch What Happens Live to promote her book, which both books were not published with Andy Cohen's publishing company. And I'm sure he was interested in doing it because he does a lot of the housewives books. Instead, she went with a big publisher, and who knows, maybe he was a little annoyed by that. I'm not sure why he's annoyed with Heather, but the fans are definitely feeling a bit of a cold shoulder from him, even though he says no. Because remember, some people brought up, we talked about this a week or two ago, that he seemed to not hug her on stage. Why wouldn't he hug her again? He said, well, no, I had hugged her already behind stage, so why hug her again? But like, why wouldn't you hug her again? It's a performance. You're on stage. That's what a stage stage is, you know, like make sure everybody looks loved. And so I guess some of the fans felt like Heather was getting a bit of the cold energy from Andy. And also, to be fair, the polls were kind of cold to Heather and Britney with the fans. Now, remember something else. Heather Gay released some things in her new book, which is more gossipy than her last one, which was more about leaving the Mormon church. And those things that were said, some of the gossip stories in it weren't true. So I reached out to Monica Garcia and asked her point blank, like, did Coach Shaw flirt with you? Did you ever tell a story like that? And she has no reason to lie to me because we don't have that kind of relationship. And she was like, no, that never happened. Like, I would say it if Coach Shaw hit on me. I have nothing to lose. Like, at this point with Jen Shaw, give me a break. And all of the negative energy around that. She was like, it didn't happen. And I don't know who spilled this tea to Heather Gay, this unknown source she decided to put in her book. And it became like in the tabloid headings about the book. But she said, I never said a story like that, and it's bullshit. So I was like, oh, that is terrible if true, because if Heather thought that it wasn't true when she put that in her book to sell books, then she's really kind of leveraging the dark side, I'd say, because the truth is that Jen Shaw's in prison and she's serving her time for her horrific thing she did, which I hope she's contemplating and, you know, going to come out a much better person with a better barometer. As I've mentioned, I think a lot of her mentors corrupted what she thought was right and wrong through her youth. But imagine being in prison for the length of term she has and she thinks her husband isn't loyal. Now, of course, there's been a load of gossip that Coach Shaw had other girlfriends and stuff, none of which got substantiated. But how did that link back to Monica? And, you know, this was news to me. So I wonder where Heather heard this from. I think I know, but I'm gonna leave it there. The source in the book says unknown, but Monica point blank said it never happened. And she has nothing to lose to say it did happen. But I don't think that, it's just not true. So there you go. So anyway, back to what happened on Watch What Happens Live. Andy also seems to drag Heather Gay. He calls her Switzerland, or he says, I'm not going to let her be that, which means she doesn't take a position publicly on things. So he kind of gives her a little rub in that in the show. And he kind of pushed her to be like, take a side and maybe be a little shady, even to Britney, who's sitting next to her. Anyway, let me play you the clip so you can see what you think.
My question is for Heather. Heather, since you've also had your ups and downs with Lisa over the years, do you think she's actually been a good friend to Bronwyn this season?
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wish I had asked you this at the reunion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Based on the circumstances, I'm going to say yeah.
Okay, based on the circumstances. What is the question all the way in Australia for Britney Bateman? Ladies.
As for Britney, what was your reaction to hearing Heather say on Salt Lake After Show that she regretted bringing you into this group?
Oh, it hurt. It hurt a little bit. I
fully regret it.
I wanted to ask you about that. We haven't had a chance to chat.
I think there was a moment where
You're together now.
Yeah, I worried because it's like, you know, a lamb before some wolves.
To the slaughter.
Zero regrets.
Okay, good. I hope. Thank you.
Zero regrets.
You're redeeming yourself.
Sounds like you had some regrets when you taped that after show.
Yeah,
I apologize.
It's okay. It hurt my feelings for a hot second,
I don't remember even doing that. That's kind of me, though.
I know how much you love me, and I know I love you, and we were all good. The second I heard it, it was gone. So.
Okay.
Thanks, Australia.
Appreciate it. Yeah, those Australian gals came in and stirred the turd and left. Yeah, that's right. Yes, you did, ladies. Yeah, it's summer where they are. They don't give a crap. Yeah, they're going to Bondi Beach, getting it on. All right.
That's amazing.
Those Australian guys are hot.
Oh my gosh, Whitney
They're
said
so nice.
We want to go back and live there. We had so much fun.
I do too.
You guys had so much fun.
Quick gossip story. So some friends of mine knew guys that were partying with Andy Cohen in Australia. And I guess one of the guys started seeing Andy. So that might be why he's talking about this more extensively than he normally would. Just saying. If you want to learn more about that, go to the Andy Cohen collection in the Patreon.
Brittany Rachel from California wants to know if you're mad at Bronwyn for throwing you under the bus with Angie at the bat mitzvah. That seems so shady.
Yes, it was completely shady. I mean, Bronwyn's really good at trying to pit us all against each other. And she cherry picks things and then, tries to stir the pot. Yeah, of course I was mad at her. I thought it was uncalled for.
Tom AHS on Twitter, Heather, do you believe Lisa or Whitney when it comes to the argument about Lisa allegedly leaking that Whitney steals from Alibaba?
I mean, Lisa didn't leak it.
Britney, Jessica L., was that really the actual YSL red heart jacket you were wearing in your TikTok?
Well, duh, yeah, of course. There's more than 3.
How much dog poop was really on the floor at Bronwyn's? A lot?
I mean, she was barefoot. And so I was trying to make eye contact, but also like navigate. And you can see it. If you look in scenes, you can see it sometimes in the background.
That's painful.
I asked her about it at the reunion. Yeah. She kind of downplayed it.
So what I'm not going to play, obviously, is the whole show, but the polls were kind of shady and they were a little bit anti-Team Britney and Team Heather as they went through them, which is kind of surprising because usually when people are on Watch What Happens Live and they poll, it's usually not so shady questions and it's usually positive responses. Also, Patreons noticed that he didn't let her show the book cover. He didn't let her hold it up or anything during the show, which people thought was odd because she's promoting her book. And also, of course, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season 5 on Watch What Happens Live. So these were the little things that people noticed that kind of gave this impression. So what do you guys think? I think he's annoyed with Heather. I do get that vibe. I don't think he's crazy about Britney as a cast member. I think he was mainly interested in Britney really truly because Andy Cohen, as I've said in the Patreon in the past, is obsessed with the Osmonds, and he really casted her because she was dating an Osmond. And when that kind of didn't really play out too much, although he did appear on the show, which I'm sure Andy loved, I think he kind of lost interest in Britney a little bit, if I was to say it. So there it is. But Britney kind of figured the game out a little bit late, but she figured it out. And I think maybe she'll get another season. We'll see. Even though she's not with the Osmond guy anymore. So this is what Thea posted from Reddit about Britney's lawsuit that her second husband did to her. Okay, ready? Britney's accusing her ex of emotional and financial abuse. According to those articles, some of the behavior Britney accuses him of includes: he kept a running list on a whiteboard of everything Britney did wrong. He installed a camera inside the house to record and watch Britney and her children. He would dictate what clothing, makeup, and other beauty products Britney could use, both in and out of his presence. Oh, that could be useful. He demanded that she submit to having sex with him multiple times per day and prohibited her from complaining about it. Well, that is Louis Ruella's vibes. He required her to go to the gym daily and work out as he dictated. Well, that could be useful also. Maybe I should have dated him. I need to get my ass to the gym. He required her to disclose every dollar she spent outside of his presence. Oh, that's gross. He required her to be the first person to post on his social media posts. That's just weird. He demanded she avert her eyes from any man in public. I mean, what's he from, Saudi Arabia? He demanded she regularly leave love notes for him around the house. Well, that's hard to do when you don't love the person because they're an asshole. And then he controlled who she spent time with, including prohibiting her from seeing her children, family members, and friends. Wow, that's a lot of just terribleness. I'm glad she got away from him. She needs to read Vanessa Reiser's new book on narcissism, but I guess there's some complexity with the kids and all this. That's interesting. Well, we'll revisit that if Britney comes back for a season. We'll do a deep dive on this second husband guy. So as you guys know, James Kennedy gets arrested at his house, it seems like, in Burbank, and it obviously is called a domestic violence arrest. So that must mean that it's with Allie, because that's his partner who lives with him at his house in Burbank. And essentially we know that there's been other instances that have been alleged that James Kennedy headbutt Allie, even though she denied it publicly on the way to the MTV Awards, or was it after? I'm going to play you that soundbite in a minute so you guys can hear it all. So what I thought I would do before I get into some of the more secretive tea, which I'm going to put in the Patreon, is I thought I would remind everybody of all of the abuse receipts that have followed James Kennedy in his time on Vanderpump Rules. I do this because after the guy is arrested for domestic violence, he posts on his Instagram feed like nothing happened that that, he's DJing at his favorite club in, I don't know where the hell it was, Texas or something like that. And she tries to go out and pretend like it didn't happen at some LA Windsor event. They're not together, but they're just keeping up with appearances like nothing happened. And this is a very dangerous and pretty typical sign of the cycle of abuse for both of them. Okay. And so it's got to stop. And obviously James was sober for a period of time, then he can't keep with it and he drinks and then he goes off the rails, and that's when he can't filter his violent tendencies towards women, and he just can't. And it was not rumored, what the hell am I saying? It was in People magazine that he was inebriated at the DirecTV event that Kathy Hilton had at her house, and he was just really aggressive. The alcohol brought out like a very dark side to him, and people noticed it at the party. So I mean, he's off the wagon. He should be sober. He isn't. Bottom line. And now, here's the aftermath. So because this guy doesn't take a hint, let me remind you of all the receipts. And I am going to put this in the public sphere so you guys can access it as needed. So let's start with my friend's Lisa Tate from her many Goodbye Glam Squad. She's got 1 million podcast. Let's have her read you guys what is in Kristen Doute's book about James Kennedy, so you can remember. I like to bring in another voice here and there to keep you guys awake. Okay, so let me play it for you. This is from her show that she did about Randall Emmett, that he was sketchy. Anyway, okay, here it is.
Back to the land of Miami Girl, we know that Kristen James had a series of breakups and makeups, and Kristen said she believed she was stuck in a dangerous and unpredictable situation. But it was when a line was crossed, when whoever this man is, that Kristen realised she had reached a pivotal moment of clarity. Her book was released in 2018, and the story comes up after her robbing the cradle chapter. Wonder if you have an opinion. On the show, she said this about James. I was afraid to be alone with him. He weaseled his way into my life. He was described as loud, ill-mannered, and you couldn't have a glass of wine with him without it turning into World War III. Now, shall we dig into he's driving you crazy? Because she thought no one would believe her. Do you want to know why? Because she was regarded as Crazy Kristen. My darkest hour. Abuse comes in many different forms. It's hard to talk about it. I never thought it would happen to me. I denied it when it did and downplayed it when someone else found out. His abusive behaviour crept in slowly at first, with name-calling and hyper-criticism every other day. I thought I could handle those things. I'm a tough girl with pretty healthy self-esteem when I'm at my best. So I would just forgive him every time he apologised for his mean and insulting outbursts. But then every other day turned into every day. The thing is, I didn't anticipate how this guy could really mess with my self-esteem so steadily, so methodically, and I didn't realise the switch had happened until it was way too late. By the time he had broken me down, I was fully ready to let it go to the next level. He was jealous and possessive. He put me down in public and blamed me for all his problems. And then it escalated. Broken furniture, shattered picture frames and mirrors, doors slamming and holes punched in my walls. Once that line had been crossed, it was only a matter of time before he put his hands on me, shoving, pushing, and physical restraint. Somehow he could do all these things and still manipulate me into staying with him. Once he calmed down, he would apologise, always so contrite, always promising it would never happen again, until it happened again and again, the cycle of violence. He was really good at making me feel guilty and making me feel like I deserved it. He knew some of the stories of my crazy past and used them against me in any way he could. He told me no one would ever love me or be with me if I left him, and that I'd be alone forever. I believed him. Eventually, the friends of mine who did witness the abuse refused to be anywhere near him anymore and said that if I stayed with him, they would cut me out too. He mostly did everything behind closed doors, so it was my word against his again. Sometimes he would remember what he'd done, and sometimes he claimed he didn't. But either way, he always called me a liar. He wasn't just a prick, he was cruel. He took every insecurity I'd ever confided in him and shoved them down my throat. Now that's a lot, isn't it? I'm going to put some numbers in the show notes if this has made you recall anything that's upsetting, because we all deserve support, including Kristen and including Raquel. See, I'm going really well with Raquel today. I'm not being mean at all. As you know, I'm no saint. So there are a couple of media articles still around about their relationship at the end. And there's one from the Daily Mail said the DJ, that's James, was blocked on all forms of social media and she refuses to even be in the same restaurant as him. He's such a bad, bad person, she said. There have been times where his stupidity and ego can be entertaining, but I feel like I really hope everyone changes their mind this season. James digs so deep and he wants to hurt people. And that's another kind of evil.
Now, Thea knew that Kristen had hidden at one of her girlfriend's house in LA when James allegedly hit her. And so we knew that the book was about James Kennedy, and Lisa Tate and some of the other influencers that have covered this story in detail, knew this information too. So they all knew that it was James Kennedy that Kristen was speaking about, although she publicly hadn't announced it yet. So just to be clear, it's James Kennedy. Thea wrote, I posted a while ago that Kristen, aka Mary Posa, hid at my friend's house one night when James had abused her, that she told Bravo and LVP, and that LVP iced her out soon afterwards, even squashed an interview Kristen did about that terrible night. LVP seeing Kristen only as a liability for her cash cow show, VPR. Since I posted this and Kristen confirmed it, see this confirmation from last year in my highlight above called Justice for Kristen, I have heard of 3 other women he has allegedly physically assaulted while inebriated. 2 were cast members, and another was a friend of the cast. Kristen has always been timid to speak on this because of the intimidation by LVP and Bravo, but I hope this gives her the strength to tell her story now. How awful it must have been for her to keep this inside, knowing the whole cast knew, watching him flourish and repeat offend. Justice for Mariposa, long last. More on who these other women are in a minute. Well, Kristen Doty posted a picture of this domestic abuse arrest that James Kennedy had and wrote under it, finally. So Goodbye Glam Squad reached out to me just because we're friends, and she said, God damn, James Kennedy, here we go. And I said, I know. And then she said, do you remember what Jax Taylor said? And I said, no, I forgot. And she said, remember the scene back in 2017 in Vanderpump Rules? Jax Taylor goes and sees James Kennedy DJing. They get in a fight. Jax is worried about getting arrested because he's on probation. The girls are kind of commenting on Jax, and Jax Taylor replied to a fan that was calling him petty. He said, I'm not petty, but he hits girls, as you saw. So if my girl is going, you better bet your ass I'm going to be around. Pump rules. And he was referring to James Kennedy's kind of aggressive behavior that has come out on the show a few times.
You doing something wrong if James doing something. James, at the end of the day, I know that you love him and stuff, but you have to kind of admit that he has done a lot of really shitty shit. He has. And after, I think, what there happened, was a time that Jax was thought of the same way. Of course. And that's why I want you to know, I know I've been there. Yeah. And it's just I just worry for you because I don't want you to be blind by it, but I was. That's the only thing. And I feel like I have been blind by his drinking. He doesn't even remember the conversation that I had with him outside of Sir. Are you serious? Did he know that he called Katie? Do you know that he called Katie fat and yelled that to her a bunch? At Pride? Yeah. No. So yeah. When he drinks that much, he becomes a different person. It is so much easier just to believe that James only has a drinking problem to cover up all of his other problems. I'm not really buying it. Did we miss anything? We were just, Britney told me about another rude comment that he's making. It's not another rude comment. It's beyond anything. He just went for something just so low and cheap and derogatory to be mean, to hurt me. Do you feel like he does it when he's drunk? I don't care. I don't care. I'm just saying because I don't
huge problem for him. We all know this. But he also has a really shitty temper, even when he's sober.
I just hope he's not doing that to you all the time. You know, he doesn't do it to me at all. Unless he's been drinking way too much.
You know, I don't know him very well. If I'm from an outsider, just, you know, taking all these stories and putting it in my basket, it's not good. It's not good at all.
I feel like you guys don't see the James that I see. You guys only see the James that's out, that's partying, that's DJing, that's getting drunk, that's making insults, and like, that's not a good side of him. I'm not proud of that James at all. But the James that I see treats me like a queen.
I feel like I am living in some Twilight Zone where monsters are able to do and say whatever the hell they want.
Okay, and of course, then Tamra Judge and Teddy Mellencamp tell of the MTV Movie Awards in 2022, where they see James Kennedy allegedly headbutt Allie. They don't say it on the show, but it comes out after the fact that that's what they witnessed. They tell a much more tamed down version of it on Two T's and a Pod. Here's what they say. Also, special shout out to Breaking the Rules podcast for this edit, which is nice and concise, and for grabbing it.
Wow. Well, that's not even the biggest issue of our night. It was the MTV Awards. We start to leave. Everybody's pulling out. We're like, okay, who do we go with? Yeah, apparently, though, seeing James Kennedy, we're like, yeah, come with us. We'll go. We decide we're going to go to whatever that party you guys were at. Oh, yeah. We went to after party. Maybe it was at Tom Tom. Well, yeah, we went to Tom Tom. We went to Tom Tom. Yeah. But there was an altercation. Wasn't there something happened? I don't know.
I don't think we need to talk about that.
But Tamara and I had to separate because we had
to jump out of the car.
Yeah, but you jumped out with one human, and then I jumped out with the other. And then all I kept thinking was, if paparazzi sees me walking down the street with this person, like holding their arm, walking them into Lisa Vanderpump's club, like what is going to happen? I don't know. But then I saw that person as the voice of reason the following season, and I was like, what is going on here?
This is what happens when a bunch of dysfunctional people are hanging out together and, something bad happens. Nobody really knows how to react because they're all so broken. It's like, right? You got Tamra with her relationship with Eddie, which is a little unusual. You got Teddy Mellencamp secretly cheating with her husband in the pipe. He's cheating on her. So imagine her askews lens as she's looking at this all go down. You've got Allie trying to pretend like probably it was her fault or it's not a big deal, even though he allegedly, accidentally headbutted her or intentionally headbutted her. I don't know. And then you got James drunk, inebriated, being James, and, he doesn't give a AF anyway, right? So this is just Disasterville. I don't know. Alex Baskin, like WTF, dude? Like, Jesus, Alex. Really? Really, Alex? So I got sent some disturbing DMs about James Kennedy, and I'm going to share them because I don't know if the person who sent them to me wants me to say who they are, so I'm not going to say who they are, but I know that they want this out. So here we go. Ready? So I've now heard about 9 to 10 allegations. I think if you say a lawyer contact, that would be good because there's a third-party law firm investigating it all, so they know all the info. Anyone stemming from there would know these things. I want this information out to the public because I can't sleep at night, but I also need to feel safe and protected. You can't say anything like, quote, a source close to the cast. I had known that he strangled my friend for a couple of years, thought it was a one-off incident. Then last year, Kristen started speaking up about James abusing her, and I contacted her to say I never knew, and I supported her. That's when I started questioning who knew and how they could still be his friends. From him, Logan No came in and Kristen questioned why he'd been hanging out with James. Logan said, "Oh, trust me, I didn't forget he broke my nose." Logan put this out on social media and then covered for James after and said his account got hacked. After emo night, more info kept coming to me. The Tamra and Teddy Uber story. Full story I heard was they were in the Uber. Tamra and Allie kissed. James got mad. Head butted Allie, made her bleed. I wish Tamra or Teddy would tell the full story. Then I heard he also raped a bartender in LA. I also found out that season 7 reunion, I think it's 7, production allowed Kristen to tell her story about James abusing her, but they cut it out. So anyone present already knows, and Bravo covered it up. Kristen was fired the following year. Kristen spoke about this on a podcast with Rachel O'Brien, I think. There's also the article about James having sex with Lala when she was blackout drunk and could not consent. Then I saw a Reddit post from a girl saying James sexually assaulted her roommate. Kristen has medical records. I don't think anyone went to the police. Remember that sexual assault they casually mentioned at the reunion? He assaulted a server, and then somehow the show got her to sign an agreement she won't sue, which means Lisa gave her dollars. All right, so now I want to move on. I got some secret tea, and I'm certainly not leaving it out here on YouTube and all free listening platforms. Let's go in the Patreon. For the full scoop, join the Dishing Drama Dana Patreon. The link is in this audio description. It's only $6 a month, and you'll get the best information and tea about the things you care about, and even the things you don't know you care about. What are you waiting for? Patreon.